Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity to speak under your chairmanship, and having given your indication to speak for 5 minutes, I shall be very brief indeed. Rather than focus and enumerate all the possible public health ills, social ills, deprivation ills of my constituency, Blackpool North and Cleveleys, I wanted to focus on just two particular aspects, if I may, and those are both thematic. I think, and what I hope will be the first contribution of many on this issue from me, I would just like to make a comparison today between the coastal towns that all of us here represent and experience over in America of what's called the Rust Belt, those ageing industrial towns in the Midwest that saw their primary industries decline quite sharply in the middle of the century and ended up having to go through a reinvention, a renaissance, a renovation almost. And there was a report produced by the Brookings Institution, a centre-left think tank. I don't always read centre-left think tank publications, but on this occasion I thought it worthwhile. And it was called Restoring Prosperity, and I think it's worth reading in full, because when I read it, I see my own constituency and many other people as well, I suspect. Quote, "Suffice to say that each forgotten city has been accused of being the regional or even national capital of one social ill or another. Such stories have a profound and harmful impact on the city's collective mindset because they shape how people see themselves. According to a professor of American Studies at Youngstown State University, residents of highly stigmatised cities have, quote, come to expect failure. This is a vicious cycle because as individual and collective expectations about the city diminish, citizens become less hopeful and less likely to engage in civic affairs, decreasing civic capacity and governing capacity. They are also less likely to demand adequate city services and less likely to question other forms of dysfunction. Many people lose the recognition that things can change, that they could effect change, even those who work in local government." Now, to me, that's quite a bleak portrait of the situation we find ourselves in, but I do recognise elements of that report in my own town of Blackpool. And I don't say that with any great pleasure at all, because for many, many years, people in Blackpool had blow after blow after blow, not least a decision over the casino that seemed to symbolise the fact that an entire government almost had turned its back on the town. And it was interesting that as I came back from Wembley just a few weeks ago on the charter train that the football club had hired for us, a 6-hour trip, no air conditioning, boiling hot, but a carriage full of very happy people who for the first time, I certainly felt in a good few years, were displaying what I would call civic pride, because they had got into the premiership. At last, something good had happened to their town. And that something good hadn't come about because of something that the state had done, or government had done, or the council had done even. It was actually part of something the community had done. A football club that had terrific community support. We had more people going down to Wembley than I think you could cram into the Bloomfield Road Stadium. There were so many from across the far coast attending. So my key theme perhaps in the 2 minutes I want to have left is that rather than just focus on what it is that government could or should be doing, and I welcome having a dedicated Minister for Tourism, I welcome the fact that the threat to furnished holiday lets has been diminished, I welcome in particular the way in which public health is now going to be promoted through the council, bringing together social care as the PCT and the council begin to merge together. All of that is to be welcome. But the report that the Honourable Member for Boston and Skegness referred to by Professor Fothergill that highlighted the importance of employment in seaside tourism. It's a very important statistical document, but it was not a toolbox. And that, I think, is what we now need, which is a toolbox, a range of policies that local communities can choose from so that they can choose what is best for their community. And what we actually perhaps need is less central government prescription, less stigmatisation as well. It is important that we have these debates, but each time that we have these debates, it almost underlines the fact that coastal towns are seen as a, quote, problem. And I start to tear my hair out almost. Reading the Sunday papers, as I do, my heart sank rather to read the comments of Janet Street Porter, a lady who I actually have a lot of time for generally. She's a very well-qualified architect. Not many know that, and her views on 20th century architecture in particular are absolutely fascinating and spot on and on the nail. But when she heard that Blackpool was going to apply for World Heritage status, a sort of bit of metropolitan sophistication seemed to come across her, as her eyebrows raised somewhat. She described it as bonkers. She stigmatised the town yet again and said that when she was next going to visit, she would bring a picnic. Well, I will say one thing to her. When she does bring her picnic up to Blackpool, could she please get in touch with me? Because I would happily take her round Blackpool. And I would happily show her many nice places she can have a picnic, many nice places she can eat, many nice places, including one in the Honourable Member for Blackpool South constituency, where he has the nicest bed and breakfast in the country, in my view, where she can happily stay. Because I think what we all need to do as members of Parliament is, when we talk about our seaside towns in this chamber, is not just to focus on the things that we are at the top of in terms of bad social consequences, ills and deprivation and so on, but actually also to focus on the good things that happen. That's why it's great in a debate on coastal towns that I can talk about the great opportunities Blackpool are going to have over the next year in the premiership. Let's focus upon the good things that also happen in our seaside towns and not just the negatives. I do hope that when we next have our debate on seaside towns, I can report back on Janet Street Porter's visit. So, given I had a few minutes less than I intended, I shall leave it there. Thank you very much.